Welcome back to ClickUp Weekly. My name is MacKenzie. I'm the founder of ZenPilot. I'm the host of ClickUp Weekly, and this week we have a Brain 2 takeover. We're going to be talking a lot about AI in ClickUp. Go figure. We spent a lot of time on that, but I've got a few other things for you. I'm going to talk about a specific feature request that I would like you to upvote, so please take a look at that and help me get this one to get the attention of the ClickUp product team. We got a bunch of other good stuff as well. Make sure you subscribe to ClickUp Weekly here on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're following the show, and leave a comment. And if you want to be part of it, go to ZenPilot.com and sign up for email updates for the show or apply to be a guest on the show as well. All right, ClickUp Weekly, episode 21. Let's dig into the good stuff here. So we've got this pulled up. I've got a bunch of what's new in ClickUp because I'll click and open this. We get the Brain 2 release notes takeover. So you can see our previous notes here. We had an AMA, and before that we had this Brain 2. And then we've got this big gap between the beginning of May and then boom, here, end of June. We're digging into Brain 2 in a big way. So ClickUp's trying to push this super hard. And I just want to pull up kind of step-by-step, just walk through some of these things and give you a quick example of what it looks like. So creating artifacts directly from ClickUp AI is a big upgrade for the platform. So I've got this client here in ClickUp, Dunder Mifflin, and just ask you create a quick slide deck based on what we know about Dunder Mifflin to prep my new account manager to take over the account. Gave me a little bit of detail here. I don't actually have a ton of info of what's going on, so I'm curious to see what it comes up with. And you can see that it gives us a couple different recommended options here. We'll just go with option A. But the other two items are actually helpful items, but aren't actually what I asked for. So it's always fun to test this stuff out and see, like, hey, what's really happening? Let's pull this back up. Harnessing every model. This is, I don't know if ClickUp behind the scenes, I should know this. I don't know this, if they're using OpenRouter or they're using something else to automatically pick the best model for the job. You can obviously pick yourself as you're working with Brain. So if we wanted to go down here, we could have chosen from a bunch of different model options for us. But, they are using, if we leave it on max, it's automatically picking the model that it thinks is best. Now, behind the scenes, anytime you see this, just a note of reality. Best for a company providing these services, they want you to have a great experience. They also want to optimize for cost. And so there are times where choosing a different model can make sense or might give you even better results than just relying on the Brain 2 on the max setting there. So just be aware of that those things, like, there's incentive problems all over the place with some of this, and that's not any different. There's no shade towards ClickUp on that. That's anybody who's running this. I'm doing this now. I've got an app that I'll be showing you in a couple weeks that we're using to speed up template creation. It's called Process Pilot, and it's our own tool internally that we're using. But same thing. We've got AI is being used in the platform. Users get to prompt and generate it. And so I'm incentivized to use cheaper models, but I'm also incentivized to have a great user experience. And so I'm fighting, what's the right value equation for what we have. Just heard the background noise that this is done. So 7 slides. Let's just see what we've got. This is helpful to get some other info. Let's just pull this up and take a look at it. Design is fine. This is, by the way, the second or third artifact that I've generated in the demo portal here. I've done a bunch in our actual ZenPilot one, but not much otherwise. All right, if we want to go back and forth and navigate here, let's go to the next one. Okay, it's pulling from our health score. Cool. So this is actually pulling from info that's not in the specific folder that I'm in. It's coming from our client health dashboard, which is super helpful to get that pulled in. Here it's listing out, hey, these are the different projects that you have going on. These are reflected in the lists that we have. What is in progress? I would assume this actually has dates on it, so I'm not sure that that's... We'll have to look and see if there's a task for that separately. Cool. Got the teams. I think John, Mike, we got to look this up. I'm not sure that that's real. And so you always, what I'm always looking for is, hey, is there anywhere that it's hallucinating? Like, this is fine. It's saying, hey, these are immediate priorities. It may not pull that from the actual context, But let's just go see. Just search the workspace for John Mike. Okay, so that's a real, I should know this, right? But I didn't know that that was actually the name that was in here. So great. Okay, so it's not making that up. Cool. Well, anyways, that's what it looks like to go build an artifact. You can grab a shareable link to it, share that with folks on your team, keep going from there. You can see I've got the chat pulled up on the side. One nice thing about this is you can hide that. And then if you go back to it, you go like, oh no, it's gone. And so I do wish in staying in the same place, if I go to pull it back up, that it would kind of automatically revert to what we had. But all your chats, if you haven't found them yet, they're all right here. And so you can go grab all your stuff and go back and continue working with it. Okay, that's great. So we've got a couple different things here. Model agnostic, we talked about that, how Max is automatically switching for you based on what it thinks makes the most sense. You can mention agents and brain in docs. You can do it almost anywhere you want. So if we go back here, let's go to this. We could mention brain for an answer on, what's the latest on this project, and it'll work away. It'll answer here. So as you're thinking about this, or you're teaching your team, hey, where do you want to put this? Keep in mind that anywhere that I'm asking a question like that, if I'm using this brain too, that's private to me. I haven't shared that publicly. And sometimes you want that, but this will be available to anybody who has access to the task that we're looking at here in this case. And so that's actually pretty helpful. Sometimes this is not maybe the most healthy communication, or I think we'd recognize that it doesn't always make sense as healthy communication, where you almost want to passive aggressively say, hey, like you're leaving, whoever the account manager here is, you're leaving me out of hey, Alex, you're leaving me out of the loop. So I'm asking brain. So you can do it in an unhealthy manner like that, where it's like, hey, I'm talking to brain because I'm not getting the information proactively enough from you as the account manager on the project. And so that's where I think this app mentions, I've seen in a handful of cases, like people get hurt feelings. It's what would be much better is to say, hey, Alex, you are not giving me updates enough. And we could still use AI to help with those updates. Like he could set up an agent, or I could set up an agent to give me the updates that I need on a consistent basis where it's running on a schedule. But I do think there's other times where you want to ask, hey, we're looking at something together, or we both are looking at this throughout the day. Hey, what's the latest on this project? Alex and I are waiting on the client, but I just want to make sure we all have the same information up to date. A lot of this is your intentions and how well you're communicating with your team. So don't let AI become a crutch or another. Like this can be used in really great ways. This can be used in negative ways. Don't let it be a tool for bad behavior in terms of how you're interfacing with your team. All right, enough about that. Let's go back here. This is true. Like we're definitely getting, you saw some of the different next steps it was offering, but it is a lot more concise than previous versions here. Memory, this is way better. You can also import what you've already taught, ChatGPT or Claude or another platform, and that is a powerful tool. If you get in, you'll probably see the prompt. If you don't, you can work with it. If you don't already have the app, you'll want to get that. You can ask from a conversation. You can have it automatically create a super agent that can run for you. I have not found this super helpful yet. I feel like I could just take any conversation, say, hey, give me the context, and I'll go use it to build agent. Give me like the prompt. I'm going to go build an agent. It does save you a couple clicks, and so I think it's worth thinking about that. This one to me feels I think this is intended to be very helpful. I think that one way it could be unhelpful is that we're building too many super agents, which obviously ClickUp wants to have you running as many super agents as help you out. So I'm probably missing something. If you figured out how this is so vastly superior to the current super agent creator interface, let me know. It does save a couple clicks, so I see some value here. I just don't see like, oh, this is not the big thing. Connecting to any MCP server. This is actually really helpful. So you will definitely want to do this. You'll want to go in, go to your connectors. You can pick your default ones, right? But you can add custom ones as well. So I'll give you an example here. We use success.co for helping us run EOS. And so this might be, their MCP server interface with all of our, measurables, rocks, to-dos, issues, etc. Then we go and we just have a authentication, module that pops up here. I'm not logged in there. I'm not sure why it says this, because this does actually work. Although I didn't double check that the right servers were there. I don't actually remember what the success.co MCP servers hosted. So maybe I got that piece wrong. But that works super well. Then you can use super agents off the back end of that to say, hey, every time that I create an issue here, there's already a really good sync, a native sync between Success and ClickUp. But in another use case, you could use it to help keep your issues, to-dos, tasks, like all that stuff in sync together. And then say, hey, when an issue comes through, make sure you ask these questions to vet it out so that everyone can come in prepared. I think of, you remember like the famous stories about Amazon and what Jeff Bezos, I don't even actually know for sure that this was him who started it. He gets credited like, the 2 pizza rule. You never want a team that if you're, everyone's working late at night, you've got to order more than 2 pizzas for. Like, more people does not always equal better. But what I was specifically thinking of was how everyone's got a memo to read before the meeting, and everyone gets there. There's a printed memo, and you read the entire memo before you jump into the conversation. So people are reading and digesting, rather than just kind of like letting the talkative people dominate the conversation and just talk. So I think as you're showing up and running good meetings, this can work the same way, where, hey, we can get really good. We can start to drill down into what is the core of the issue for our leadership team meetings or departmental or team meetings, wherever. Like having that, using agents, using AI in that way to help interface with your team to drill down and train it on, hey, here's how do we get to the root of the issue so that then we can go get quicker solves. That has been super helpful. So you're definitely going to want to connect your MCP servers. I'm going to skip over Slack messages because I want to do a whole video just on Slack and ClickUp together. I've talked a lot about chat, but we have some smaller things here. So let me go out of order a little bit. Custom fields by task type. This is now fully live. We've talked about this before, but this went fully into production. Smarter Notetaker summaries. If you're using Notetaker, you should have noticed just in the past week the summaries that you're getting of your meetings, that those notes are getting a lot higher quality, which is great. Quick reactions in chat and custom emoji settings page. So this is new. Most of you aren't going to see this or won't have seen this yet. But if you go to settings, go to emojis. Let's get rid of brain here for a second. And you can see we've got some custom emojis. We now have a page to manage this. Import it, do all that good stuff. So just like you use custom emojis in Slack or another tool, you didn't used to have like a page dedicated to managing this. It makes it a little bit easier to deal with this, filter through, find stuff, add aliases, all that kind of stuff. Really relatively minor issue or feature, but that just got pushed, so I figured that was worth calling out. Other thing you'll notice some quick like your frequently used emojis here. You'll notice this stuff starts to get better as well in terms of how you interface in chat as well as we go. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to cover in terms of what's new this week in ClickUp. Let's talk real quickly. I'm going to just call out one thing just to help out the ClickUp team here. This roll up custom field values from subtasks to parent tasks. We've talked about this on a prior episode here. And so we now have an opportunity as they are scoping this feature out and want feedback from folks. Go ahead and fill in the survey here from ClickUp directly. So you can find it from that. We'll have this linked up in the show notes as well. All right. I want to talk about this one because this is relatively new to Notion. So I just published this one just a couple hours ago. Custom HTML content blocks. And so let me just show you what I'm talking about with that. Maybe we'll go to docs and we'll pull up a new doc here. Start writing. So if I want to go here and hit add, I've got all these different options for what we could use, right? And like, oh, I'd love to do code of some kind. And I can do this inline code. And it's like, oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is an HTML item here. So I can do a new slide. I think there's some stuff coming that may make this irrelevant, but right now, there are times where I would like, let's just write with text here, with normal text, and say, we want this to be big and purple. And we could grab it, and we could change the boldness. We could change the color of this, and we could make it purple. We can give it a badge. We can give it a highlight. We could pick the text color itself. But I can't make this massive. Now, obviously, I've got I can go to styling, and I can go pick, hey, I want this to be large, but that affects everything on the page. It doesn't affect what's here directly. And what I would love to do is I'd love to be able to say, hey, I want this to actually be, this size. Well, the only way for me to do that right now is to make it a heading. But when I make it a heading, and even still, I only have so many things I get to choose from here. I've got basically 5 different sizes if I count this. Well, when I make it that heading, now if I use the table of contents, if we turn on a table of contents for this page specifically, now it's going to show up all the time as we go through the page itself, and we'll be able to see all that kind of stuff. And so I don't want that piece. So we could turn on the page outline, and this would, now it shows up here, or I could have gone below it, and we could have put in a table of contents or a sticky table of contents. Well, I don't want that to show up there. And so it kind of messes with some of the other features in there. So all I want is a simple, I just want to write /HTML, give me a chance to go in and input the formatting that I want for it. It's not just formatting. There's times where I'd want to do other stuff as well. So you saw slides, which is exactly in the right direction of what we're looking for. But I want to do more than just slides. I'd love to be able to do charts and calculators and timelines and that kind of stuff. So anyways, I wanted to call this one out. Rich text, what you can do in Docs is already amazing. We can embed different views. We can embed websites. So the way to kind of get around that right now is build what you want, host it somewhere else, put in the URL there, and you can kind of get it in there. But it's slow. If you make it public, it's a little bit slower to load. And so I think we could do this all directly in ClickUp, and it would be pretty awesome. If you think that makes sense as an idea and you'd love to see HTML content blocks, we'll link this in the show notes as well. Give it an upvote, and leave it in the comments with what you think would be helpful there as well. Okay, that's what I had on the wish list. Thank you for tuning in. This is a quick ClickUp Weekly here leading into Independence Day weekend. Make sure you subscribe to the show. If you want to jump on as a guest, go to ZenPilot.com/ClickUp-Weekly/guest and jump on. That link will be in the show notes as well. And then make sure you subscribe to First Class Operations. We've got some great stuff coming out. I told you, I give you just a preview of Process Pilot, or not a preview, but mention the name. So look for more there. That's the first time I've mentioned it publicly. There'll be more coming out next month. There's other cool tooling coming out that some of our clients have access to, but it'll be coming out more publicly here in Q3 as well. So make sure you're on the newsletter and subscribed for updates that we've got coming down the pipe there. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Appreciate y'all.